Hello, everybody, and welcome to Equilibrium's 6th community call. Nice to see you here. My name is Lesley. I'm responsible for business development and customer success, and I'm here as always with my two colleagues, Alex and Peter. Equilibrium is the first decentralized interoperable DeFi conglomerate on Polkadot. And as always, we're going to tell you about what's going on with us right now, what's current. May I introduce my colleagues? May I have them take over? Alex, please go first.
Hello, guys. My name is Alex. I'm the CEO and founder of the Equilibrium team. I'm responsible for the overall company strategy and product development. Today is our Jubilee community call, the 6th one. We started off the community call, the series of community calls almost like half a year ago. And today is a special one because we'll be touching on the very important event which is happening right now. It's the start of our Lockdrop of EQ tokens for Genshiro tokens. We'll touch on that in more detail. And let me pass it over to Peter. Peter, could you please introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you here. I'm happy to see you guys. I'm Peter. I'm business analyst with Equilibrium, and I also manage our technical team. So we'll be sharing some exciting stuff about our newest developments today as well.
Great. So an overview of what we're going to be talking about. As always, our tech updates, and that includes everything in terms of what's current right now, what we've already accomplished, our milestones, an event which recently happened in which Alex held a speech, Polkadot Decoded. It's the most important event of the year on Polkadot, and in case you missed that, Alex will give a brief rundown of what he talked about. It's really key to what we do, so that's something important for you to know. The Kusama auction, what you need to expect, what you need to look for, our gens listings, and a demonstration in real time of the Lockdrop, which, as my colleagues mentioned, is actually starting today. And since it's also time relevant, because you want to get the maximum bonus, you really want to know about this. So pay close attention, because as soon as we're done with the call, if you want to participate, you should look into that. So if I could have the next slide, please. Handing it over to Peter.
Yes. So basically, I will cover our tech updates. So what we have done so far, what we're busy and currently working on, and what our plans as well. So actually, we're not preparing. We've already deployed to production the newest version of our Equilibrium chain. And some of the updates which were included there, we did that this morning. Are basically the new module for the Lockdrop of EQs to get Genshiro tokens. We've also included the new margin call logic, and this is our first step in our long process of building a decentralized exchange, where we basically moved from the idea of the collateralization and actually went to margining user portfolios by using the absolute margin values. Like, let's say you need $5,000 to be able to open up a position for $20,000. This is basically a basic example. The actual figures, they're slightly different on chain, and we will definitely prepare an article which explains that in greater detail. So please follow our social media. We will cover that. We've also added multi-sig for our pseudo, and basically pseudo are those operations which now require 2 out of 3 participants to be able to perform them. We don't usually do anything with pseudo on the main net, and but it's a useful tool for our testnet testing and calculations. We've also added the support for 2 new oracles. Basically, we had our own oracle, and currently we have deployed to production Band and Bluezell oracles, and we're fetching prices from those 2 sources as well. And soon Chainlink is coming up as well too. We have fixed lots of bugs during our extensive testing of our new functionalities, including the new margin call logic, and we've run our integration tests numerous times and managed to find some non-critical issues, like 3 or 4, and we have also fixed everything and deployed it to production today. Okay. So we've also finished the work on our assets module, and basically the logic is finished, but this logic didn't get into current release because it wasn't completely tested and fully test covered. So we're currently busy testing this. Assets is a very important aspect of our system because currently we work with enums and enumerate assets or various crypto tokens in our system. And this new module, it will allow us to add assets on the fly to Equilibrium and to Genshiro. And basically, this will help us to effectively maintain the list of assets within our system and to effectively add new assets and to effectively work with DEX later on, with cross-chain messaging protocol, and also with the Curve AMM we have just finished doing as our part of Open3 grants program. We're also working on preparing a Kusama parachain. Unfortunately, Parity hasn't shared any time schedule as of now yet, but we're actively testing both locally and are planning to test it in Rococo testnet before actually going into Kusama and launching the Crowdloan auctions, Crowdloan campaigns and participating in parachain auctions. Okay, Lesley, so could you please hop on to the next slide? Yes. So basically our plans now. So we want to win a Kusama parachain slot and deploy all our current logic, including the assets logic, to the Genshiro parachain basically, and become an actual parachain in Kusama network. We also want to add our curve palette or curve model to Genshiro, and Genshiro will be the place where we'll be testing that. We just finished the second milestone of our grant, and we got approved last week, and basically we finished all the work related to the Curve AMM functionality, which is currently all tested and basically working as a substrate-based code. We also plan to add RenVM bridge to Genshiro, and RenVM is a wonderful bridge which will allow us to bridge like lots of different assets from different blockchains, all from one bridge. So we plan to start working with them closely, actually, our next sprint or next week. We're working on our DEX, and as I told you, assets was the first step. We have also completed our new margining functionality, and it's also already deployed to production. We plan to add stablecoins from the Ethereum and bridging such stablecoins as DAI, USDT, and USDC. And this serves the purpose of actually setting up a Curve AMM pool with stablecoins. So basically, the first pool we will set up will include several stablecoins, including our own as well. And finally, we're looking up to a substrate-to-substrate bridge because we want to eventually bridge our two networks. One is Polka-based and another one is Kusama-based together. So this is last but not least, of course. And let's hop on to the next slide. And this one is about our milestones. And basically, we are an active participant of a Parity Builders program, and we conduct periodical reviews of our progress with them. And the new idea with Parity currently is that each team has to set their own milestones and have to aim or to strive to achieve those milestones in the predetermined timelines. So as you can see, we have set for ourselves the timeline, the end of July here, and all the milestones here, which are depicted on the slide, which are basically the ones we committed to with the Parity team. And most of them I have already talked about, but I will quickly reiterate for those who might have not heard me, or for newcomers or you so better understand what are we currently doing. So we plan to add the support of our new assets module to Genshiro parachain. We want to test Genshiro both locally and in Rococo before actually applying and registering with Kusama. We're actually planning to win a parachain slot in Kusama, and that will, of course, happen with the help of you users who will hopefully gladly stake Kusama for our Kusama tokens for our Crowdloan campaign. We also plan to integrate the Curve AMM palette into our parachain, and that palette will be hooked up to the new assets module, and we will set up the first Curve AMM pool inside Genshiro, which will be stablecoin AMM pool. To be able to set up that pool, we of course require a functioning bridge to ETH network, and we already have that one. And the matter of deploying it to Genshiro just involves, adding different support for different ERC20 tokens, both into relays and into our Genshiro substrate. Well, that's it. And the timeline we agreed upon for all of this with parity is actually the end of July. So as you can see, we have lots of work to do. And now I'm passing the word to Alex, who will talk about the Polkadot Decoded event. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, as Peter mentioned, we participated in the Polkadot Decoded events recently. I was covering the topic of bailout versus auctions, and specifically was outlining how exactly we're leveraging the Polkadot's technology and its advantages. So the overall event was quite successful, very well attended, and as my colleagues said, it's one of the most impactful events in the ecosystem, which actually saw the participation of a lot of influential ecosystem builders, the teams who are building on substrate technology, expecting to basically become the parachains on both on Polkadot and Kusama. There were representatives from the side of Purity and the Web3 Foundation. Obviously, Gavin Wood was also giving a speech. It was a nice panel. So mostly all the aspects of developments of Polkadot were covered. The current situation in the ecosystem, the progress on the developments in terms of existing projects, and the Polkadot network as well were covered. So yeah, and here I wanted just to give you a brief overview of what exactly was in my speech, in my presentation. So first of all, I was explaining the problem of debt liquidation, which definitely exists. And I was kicking this off with explanation of overcollateralization, which is efficiently the provision of collateral worth enough to cover the potential losses. And this is the common practice for the overall DeFi space. Also, we all know that in DeFi, most of loans are lacking the maturity. However, usually borrowers are committing to certain critical level of collateralization, which means that if during some market turmoils, if the price of underlying assets, underlying collateral is declining, borrowers might get liquidated. And actually, I was referring to two approaches to debt management in these cases, which are actually inherited from the real world finance. So the first approach, which is commonly used in the traditional finance, is the redistribution of debt obligations, which means that if there are some insurers or guarantors for the loan, if in case of basically borrower's default, the debt obligations of particular borrower can be distributed among these guarantors or insurers. So the second approach, which is more relevant to the current DeFi landscape, is the forced sell-offs or auctioning, It's the good example here is, for example, the mortgage loans. So, for example, if you have mortgage loan and you default it on that, basically fail to repay the loan. In this case, your property can be seized by the authority, the financial institution which was providing you with the loan, and then this property can be sold off through the auction. So the same happens in the current DeFi platforms, which means that the crypto collateral, which is underlying the loans in the DeFi protocols, can be sold off through the auctions in case of basically borrower's default. And actually, it is not a good idea because these auctions can fail due to certain circumstances. Obviously, there might be technical reasons behind that, like for example, clocks in the underlying blockchain network. Secondly, there might be no participants of these auctions show up due to some outstanding market situation, some significant price drops or risk of slippage, and actually there will be no participants who will be willing to buy out the collateral even at discounted price. So the second thing why auctioning is bad is that during auctions, usually debt is staying in the system, which means that the system is taking the risk of liquidated debt, and so this actually puts the overall system solvency under the risk as well, right? Because there might be the risk of slippage, which is continuously presenting with this loan, which remains in the system. So just to understand the scale of this problem, I've put together the breakdown of the current top DeFi protocols, which have this kind of liquidation mechanism in their technology, and you can see here that these protocols actually contain over $42 billion worth liquidity in their smart contracts, which is overall almost 50% of total value locked on Ethereum. And imagine all this tremendous amount of liquidity is subject to potential forced liquidations, which means that if it happens during some flash crash of the market, potentially all this enormous amount of liquidity can influx the markets, and it will be a real disaster. So fortunately, we at Equilibrium have certain solution to that, which is bailouts. It's the mechanics which also quite common for the world of traditional finance, when there are some insurers introduced as a third parties who are actually taking part in liquidations. In our case, bailsmen are providing liquidity in this dedicated liquidity pool, called the bailout pool, and they're earning extra yields on their funds, specifically from the significant fraction of the interest paid by borrowers. So obviously the expected losses, most of them are covered by overcollateralization in our protocol as well, which is similar to what's happening in the existing DeFi protocols. However, if it comes to actual liquidations, in our case, the obligations of defaulted borrowers are simply redistributed from them to bailsmen, to these liquidity providers. And bailsmen are taking over these debt obligations from borrowers, which means that firstly, the debt accumulated through these liquidations is not staying in the system, and Equilibrium doesn't take risk of that. And secondly, there are any kind of forced actions required in case of liquidations in the Equilibrium platform. So obviously, bailsmen, they can withdraw funds only after they repay the bad debt, and also we have the sort of funds of last resort, which is the our insurance policy, which is covering the remaining losses potentially. However, obviously the main risk is covered by bailsmen. So definitely the implementation of these mechanics would not be possible on any other blockchain platform rather than Polkadot, because it actually requires the constant risk assessment, which is done by our risk management system, quite advanced one, and actually Equilibrium takes a different approach to the utilization approach, which is taken by the most of DeFi lending platforms like Compound or Aave. In our case, we're taking the risk-based approach in terms of the borrowing cost assessment, which plays this significant role in the overall process of pricing in the system, and obviously it acts as the certain incentive for bailsmen to provide liquidity into the bailout pool, and it also balances the system overall. And actually, this process of risk assessment requires quite a bunch of computations on the background, which might be very, very expensive in terms of resources in any kind of single standalone blockchains like Ethereum or whatever. So in this case, we're highly leveraging the off-chain worker functionality of Polkadot. So we efficiently offloading the computation from on-chain to off-chain. And we're also leveraging the high level of customization in the Polkadot, basically the substrate technology, which also makes sense and plays also a significant role in our developments. So to Lesley, she will cover the timelines in terms of our Kusama auctions.
Actually, this is going to be Peter.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, Peter, go ahead.
Yeah, so guys, well, basically, as I told you already, we're currently waiting on the announcement from the Parity team, and as soon as we know the exact dates, we will be able to actually register our Crowdloan campaign and start collecting funds from users. And to talk a little bit about the mechanics, basically we offer to cover the opportunity costs of staking Kusama tokens in the Kusama chain for nomination of validators. And let's say if currently they reward you with around 15% APR, we will reward you with extra bonus on top of that, depending on the actual amount of your allocation. So if you put a lot, you will be getting up to 30% APR in Genshiro tokens, and we will make the distribution automatic most likely, and it will be distributed similarly how tokens are distributed in nomination in Kusama. So each era, users will be able to claim their rewards, and we will determine the APR for the past era, the average Genshiro price for the past era, and we'll calculate the rewards from there. So we will know the exact amount of Genshiro tokens we'll be distributing to each of the user. I'm not sure, Lesley, will you talk about the auction specifics in Kusama, or should I talk a little bit about it right now?
The next slide is mine. So
okay.
let me go for it. And if you'd like to fill in, then absolutely. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Great. So if I could have the next slide. Great. So in fact, our Kusama auctions, we've on the Genshiro website included the website, this sub-site about the PLO. So you can watch for the events that are going to be announced there progressively as we get closer to the date. So that's something to look out for. If I can have the next slide. Some details that we would like to tell you right now definitely is that we have a hard cap of 100,000 KSM for the Kusama auctions. And we are aiming actually for 2 years leasing total. So that means that we're actually going to be bidding in, well, we're going to hope to win 2 auctions. And if you think that each of these auctions is a total of 48 weeks. That means those are 336 days for each leasing period. So again, 2 auctions, and the minimum lock time for your KSM if you participate is going to be 336 days. So this is something also to keep in mind for your planning. If I could have the next slide. And with regards to the planning further, the date is still not known. We are expecting Polkadot to announce it rather soon. When it is announced, the Crowdloan itself will be open for just 1 week. So you're going to want to pay attention to this on an ongoing basis. We are, as we did before, for the first phase of the PLO, the parachain leasing offering on Polkadot, we're going to ask you in this case also to register in a white list. This is something that you don't have to do, but is good for you because you can get 1% bonus. And we're going to send you at the end of the presentation, we're going to add the link to this presentation in the chat so that you can use it as a resource. And there you will see the link to the white list, which is on this slide, and you can use that in order to sign up. Also, you'll find a link on the Genshiro website. The Genshiro tokenomics is also on the website or linked here if you'd like to have that all conveniently in one place, and you can read up on it in case you don't know the details yet, as is an overview of the Gen's parachain leasing offering in an article that we have published on Medium. And I would like to remind you in connection with all of this planning that if you participate, you can earn up to 30%. If you're doing the auctions for Kusama. You probably recall from the previous calls that we did, but I'm going to nonetheless summarize this once again because it's a key point for everyone, what kind of premium you can expect from this, okay? So you can see the formula on the slide. The premium basically takes account of your opportunity costs for staking KSM, and it also gives you a premium, which is a function of the amount that you actually stake. Can I get the next slide? So some things that are very important also for this upcoming event is that we are planning to participate on the so-called PLO platform, which will be facilitated by OKEx. OKEx, as you know, is one of the major exchanges worldwide. It's among the top 3 or 4. And this is just sketched on the right-hand side so that you can keep in mind what kind of volume they have. We've got a huge community of over 400,000 people on Twitter, and their daily trading volume is an average of around 12 billion. In terms of how to participate, so this might sound a little bit confusing, but I'm going to try and summarize it for you as efficiently as possible. So first of all, what they're going to do is 1 week before the actual auction starts on Kusama. In other words, at the same time that Polkadot announces the date of the auction, OKEx is going to open up this platform, and you can see the link here to the platform so that you can use that as your resource. And what they're going to ask you to do first to actually vote for us, okay? Well, vote for whichever project you want. Hopefully it'll be for us. And the voting is actually sort of to get a first preliminary opinion that people have, but it's also you're already using your stake, okay? So your stake is also your voice. And then in addition to that, or instead of that, when the actual date starts for the actual auctions that will simultaneously be running on Polkadot, on the Polkadot platform, well, that means Kusama, but running through Polkadot and its technology, you will be doing the bidding. You can do it either on the Polkadot platform or on the OKEx PLO platform. And at the end, when that 1 week period of bidding is over, there will be all of the votes will be counted that OKEx has collected, and OKEx will then use those to bid in our name on the Polkadot platform, and then that will determine at the end of the day all of those bids through Polkadot, through OKEx, and through other platforms that we still will be adding, who has won the auction. So I hope that that's clear. Again, more details will follow as they become clear to us, as Polkadot tells us when Kusama auctions will start. And if I can have the next slide. Great. So, and some other things that I think you probably really want to know about is further Gens listings. Again, these are still developing as time goes by, but right now we already know two things which I'd like to alert your attention to. So in addition to this PLO platform via OKEx, we are also planning to do a so-called IDO. IDO stands for Initial Decentralized Exchange Offering, which I'm just sketching here on the slide what that is, because it's a little bit different from a classical listing. It's got some interesting dynamics. We're going to be doing this through DodoX exchange. And specifically, let me just tell you, first of all, what DodoX is. It's a quite innovative community that specializes in these IDOs. They've also got a huge reach in terms of their community, as you can see here in the data on the slide. And they're also present in China and WeChat, and they have a trading volume of well over $3 billion US. So what is an IDO? An IDO, like I said, is when the tokens are launched first via a DEX, okay, so decentralized exchange. And what that actually implies is that you've got some interesting dynamics that you wouldn't have otherwise through a centralized exchange. The tokens are immediately liquid and tradable. And the fundraising participation is completely open and clear, everyone and fair. You've also got lower costs, or we do, in terms of the fact that we're actually working there with an automatic market maker, okay, an AMM. Also, you're switching out what is usually used in classical finance. In other words, instead of using order books, you're using liquidity pools for swapping, and that prevents slippage. So that's interesting for everybody. Then there's another step that we also foresee already right now beyond this IDO, and that is a classical listing and additional PLO platform in addition to the OKEx PLO platform that will be with a major exchange. We are not allowed to reveal the name yet, and there's one reason for that and one reason only, and that is because the partner requires that they announce through their PR first before we're allowed to name them. And that is something that will still happen. So do bear with us on that. That's going to be announced soon, and then we'll be able to tell you as well. But you'll see that soon, and you can see that this is a huge exchange, which has a really wide reach, 700,000 people on Twitter, and a very solid daily trading volume. So I think that's pretty much it for me. I'd like to ask for the next slide. And now, what you've probably all been waiting for, Peter is going to show you in real time how the lock drop is done. And you want to pay close attention because, like I told you before, this is actually starting for you today, and that's important. Why? Because if you want to get the full bonus of 30% in addition to the actual lock drop allocation that you get for your EQ, then you want to take advantage of this as soon as possible, because after a few days, otherwise you're going to lose that additional bonus. So, Peter, go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much, Lesley. Let me share my screen. Can you guys see that?
Not yet. We can see you.
Just a second. Yep. How about now?
Yep.
All right, good. So first of all, please make sure that is our testnet. You can see that the link includes the dev subdomain here. And for this demonstration, I have pre-created a testnet allocation for myself because I wanted to show you guys how this Lockdrop interface looks when you have a vesting schedule. And this is really important for those people who either participated in our not EQ token swap, and they all got their EQ tokens vested for 1 year. And I think the vesting end is around the end of November of 2021. So basically, first of all, let me show you my allocation I have created here. So basically, yes, I've set up a test allocation for 10,000 EQ tokens for myself. When I claimed it, firstly, I had like 1,000 tokens free, and currently I have this many tokens locked, and each block I get 0.5 tokens unlocked. So we have an interesting dynamics for those people who actually have some of their EQ tokens still locked in the vesting contract. And this dynamics is as follows. In order for you to get the full, the allocation of Genshiro tokens for your full or total allocation for 10,000 EQ tokens, you have to put all of your free or claimable balance into the Lockdrop contract. If you put only a fraction of it, there is a quadratic dependency. So if I put only half of what I have claimed so far, and I'm able to claim so far, so if I only put like half of 1,575 tokens, I will only get a quarter, an allocation for a quarter of my tokens locked. And that is exactly what Lockdrop interface shows you. First of all, it warns those people who have vesting on their account that they have a vesting schedule, and these people can only make one deposit. This is very important because due to this quadratic relationship nature and our need to basically calculate the allocation for locked or unvested tokens, we need to do this. So be careful. If you are a user with vesting, you only have one chance. So as you can see, my total transferable balance is currently around 1,583 EQs, which is basically, I've claimed so far a little over 1,000, and currently I have claimable of another 580. Basically, these numbers are what you've just seen on the allocation tab. We also leave an existential deposit or a fee of 1 EQ on your account. This is for the case that if you want to deposit everything, we don't delete your account, because we have same existential deposit logic in Equilibrium as in Polkadot and Kusama. Basically, if the value of your balance drops below $1, your account will be liquidated and all the dust will be cleared off your account. So the interface is pretty straightforward. You can see the current bonus, and well, it starts a little below 30% because this is the way the curve behaves. Basically, we have set some decay parameters for the standard S curve depending on the day, and currently the bonus is 30%, and it declines over the period of 30 days. In order for you to lock EQ tokens, you can either input an amount here, and minimum deposit is 10 EQ tokens, or you can move this slider. And as you can see, the system calculates for you how much Gens tokens you receive, what will be your bonus. And here is the interesting part. This is actually the part which shows you how much allocation will you get for your free balance, and how much allocation will you get for your locked balance. You're a vested user, remember. So if you can see, when I move this slider, if I put it at max, I will get max allocation. Oops, looks like we gotta change this little bug here. If I put max, or I want to deposit all of my balance, I will get the maximum allocation for my locked tokens. If I put half, around half, I will get only allocation for the quarter of my locked tokens, because the relationship is quadratic. 0.5 squared is 0.25, which is 25% of our of my current locked allocation. So yeah, let's do the whole, and I'll hit deposit, enter my password. And that's it. I just have to wait till the block finalizes and my transaction goes through. All right. So as you can see, you will be able to unlock your EQs in 90 days after the countdown begins. And so I'm good. Currently, I can't see my Gens allocation. This is a little bug we're currently working on to eliminate. Right now, we don't have the history synced up. And we calculate this number based on the history, and see, I don't have the history of my deposit, but we're syncing with the chain right now. And as soon as it's synced, everything should be okay. This is basically for the user with vesting. And now let's hop off to the next tab. And this is how it looks for the user without vesting. So the main difference here is that users without vesting, they can actually deposit many times because they have tokens only on their balance and not in the vesting contract. And as you can see, I've did actually 2 deposits here on the mainnet from our technical account. I was playing with the interface to make sure everything works correctly. And the same issue here persists. The gens allocation is not being calculated right now. This is due to our out of sync history. But once it's synced up with the chain, I think everything should be okay. And basically here, it's the same interface, the slider, how much you want to put in. The minimum amount is 10 EQ tokens, and you just go ahead and input the number and hit deposit, and that's it. So everything is pretty straightforward and pretty simple. All right, hopefully this little presentation made it clear. Oops, did I stop my screen sharing?
Yeah. Yes, you did.
Yep. So if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us and our support in our Telegram, and I'll be happy to answer your questions as well. And please contact me, PM me if you like, guys.
Thanks, Peter. This was a wonderful presentation.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
So we've got 3 sets of questions right now. We've got the questions in the Ask a Question functionality, then in the chat, and also what we've collected from you from the very beginning. So let's go for it and start with maybe the Q&A that we have here in that special functionality. How do I invest in this wonderful project? Please help. I want to invest. Well, I think that you've been following this now. I don't know if this is still current, but the next chance that you have is, in fact, the Kusama auction, whether you're doing it directly through the Kusama Polkadot platform or you're doing it through the OKEx platform or another PLO platform that we will announce shortly. So that's what option you have right now for the investment, since the tokens are actually not tradable yet, okay? Next question. I've applied for the 1% additional bonus. Where do I have to send manually? I'm sorry, I don't understand this question, Vinay. If you can sort of what you mean. If you mean the 1% bonus that you would get from the whitelist, then I answered that. You need to sign up for the whitelist. Otherwise, I'm not sure I know what you mean. And the referrals would also, by the way, be covered by the whitelist. I believe you have to be in that whitelist first in order to get access to that referral bonus. Gentlemen, correct me if I'm wrong.
I think that the guy was asking about the early participation subscription, which implies that he can expect for 1% additional bonus. Actually, if this is the case, we will account these additional bonuses at the end of the Lockdrop, so you efficiently will receive your initial gens allocation and 1% bonus on top of that.
Okay. When is Block Explorer available for mainnet? Peter?
Are you talking about Genshiro or Equilibrium? Because Equilibrium mainnet, you can see it currently on Subscan, and it's equilibrium.subscan.io. And we also have our in-app Block Explorer, which you can see under the link /gateway/en/Block Explorer. I can share the link here in the chat.
Okay, so Babes asking, can you please summarize again the tokens that will be involved in Equilibrium at the end? It's getting hard to keep track, in my opinion. Good question. So let's put it in a simple way. So first of all, we have Equilibrium itself. It's expected to become the parachain on Polkadot. It has the utility token called EQ. And also it has the embedded decentralized stablecoin, which is native decentralized stablecoin for our overall platform. It's called EQD. It's backed to dollar, backed to the portfolio of cryptocurrencies. It's kind of the set of assets for our Equilibrium parachain. So we also are launching the Canary network for Equilibrium, which is supposed to inherit the experimental spirit of Kusama and deliver quite interesting user experience to those traders and market participants who used to take more risk in their operations. This parachain is called Genshiro. We are talking a lot about that in the course of today's presentation. It has its own utility token called Gens. So you basically, as if you are an EQ token holder, you can participate in our Lockdrop. We just demonstrated the interface of the Lockdrop, how exactly you can hop on that. And basically these Genshiro tokens, Gens, their current sort of exchange rates in the Lockdrop is 10 Genshiros per one EQ token locked in the Lockdrop mechanics. So quite easy. EQ tokens, EQD for equilibrium, and Genshiros for the Genshiro parachain.
Okay, I hope that answers the question. If not, please clarify in the chat. Then we've got Crypto Goblin asking, should I leave, wait a minute, just lost it here. Should I leave, why is it disappearing? Okay, wait, bear with me for a second. Okay, should I leave some EQ on my wallet the same as on .EQ swap, or can I lock all of my EQ? I think, Peter, you should be answering this one.
Sure, let me reread it once again.
Should I leave some EQ on my wallet, the same as the .EQ swap, or can I lock all of my EQ? I guess this is referring to the Lockdrop, right?
Yeah, I think we covered that. So
yeah, basically,
it's actually working the same way as in Polkadot. We have the existential deposit of one EQ token, so you need to leave one EQ on your account. Our interface does this for you automatically, so there is no way for you to transfer all your EQ tokens for your address just in one transaction.
Yes, but also if you guys use Polkadot JS org interface directly, so please make sure we have an existential deposit requirement.
Okay, then we've got the Medium article mentions 45% to be distributed to EQ holders. Does that mean that we will get an airdrop? If so, is this a one-to-one EQ to Gens? Okay, guys, we've been telling you this many times now. You're going to get ideally 10 Gens to 1 EQ if you do the lock for the whole 3 months, for the whole 90 days. Okay, hope that answers the question. If not, tell us. Then we've got, how do I, go ahead.
Yeah, just wanted to mention that Vinay is following up with his question, asking whether he can deposit his EQ now. Yeah, the Lockdrop is kicking off today, so you don't need to wait. Just do it right away and get the bonus for early participation. As you know, we have this type of bonuses. So efficiently, you can get up to 30% bonuses if you participate now. The bonus for early participation will be declining in the course of the Lockdrop, and in 30 days, it will decline down to 0.
And then we've got a related question, which nonetheless, I think we should address. Supply is for EQ holders. I guess that everyone will have to lock their EQ at some time to release all of the Gens. Correct me if I'm wrong. Or is there any other way to mint Gens with Equilibrium? So again, right now you're getting Gens through your EQ, and then you can get Gens, of course, when you participate in the Crowdloan on Kusama. Can you approximate how much will be the initial circulating supply for Gens and EQ? Alex, would you like to take that?
Yeah, sure, I can. If it comes to the early days, efficiently the period before we launch the Kusama parachain, the circulating supply for Gens will be very, very tiny. I would say it will be like roughly maybe 2.5 up to 3% of the overall supply, not more than that. After we release our parachain and Kusama gens will become available for claiming. However, we have here certain mechanics. If you guys are not aware of that, let me also give you a heads up. So basically, we'll have the dedicated vault where all Genshiros will be sitting available for claiming. However, if you do that, like right after we launch the parachain, there will be a penalty applied, 50% of your Genshiro tokens. All these penalties collected from users who early opted out will be distributed back to the vault, and those who will be keeping up with the vaults, with gens sitting there, will get efficiently bonuses, and it will be a good incentive for the rest of participants to not to withdraw basically their gens in the early days of our parachain. This penalty will be also declining according to the curve, and in 90 days, this penalty will become equal 0. So in 90 days after we launch our Kusama parachain, you will be able to get your locked EQ tokens back and withdraw Genshiros without any applied penalties.
Okay, we've got a bunch of questions left, so we're going to try and be quick, okay? EQ Gen's Lockdrop on May 27th. Okay, guys, we've been saying this. Yes, it's starting today. Yes, today is May 27th. And keep in mind here, you want to do this fast, because we said that for 1 month, we're going to have the option to get at least either the whole or part of the additional bonus of 30%. You want to do it as fast as you can, because after the first few days, you're going to be losing that additional bonus proportionally, okay, as time goes by within the course of a month. So do start that today if you can, okay, just to be sure. Next one, if I participate in the Gens Lockdrop with my EQ, can I withdraw my EQ early? And if so, are there any penalties apart from losing future potential Gens? I think we've answered this several times now. You need to do it for 90 days in order to get the full benefit of the full 10 Gens for 1 EQ. Will US token holders be able to participate in PLO voting through OKEx? This is something that you're going to have to clarify through OKEx, because they're going to do a KYC with you. That's what is done, as far as I know, in this procedure. And that's something that we don't take any responsibility for. This is something that you have to arrange with OKEx. Could you tell us more about EQ listings as well? Alex, would you like to take that?
Sure, I can take it. So first of all, yeah, regarding EQ listings, we are in constant, you know, that we are in constant contact with major exchanges regarding that, specifically with Hobby, OKEx, and others. However, due to the current market circumstances, and actually that was raised in our community multiple times, there were multiple requests for delaying listings until the market conditions will become better. So we made a decision to take a pause in terms of EQ listing, specifically taking into account that we're actually paying precise attention to the Genshiro rollouts and everything related to Genshiro tokens. We think that the right time to do that is actually will be around that period of time when Polkadot will launch their parachains. And the second reason behind that, that the biggest platforms in China currently experiencing certain congestions with the regulations, and we had a few conversations literally yesterday regarding this aspect, and seems like listings on the biggest platforms in China, you obviously know all of them, are currently delayed. And unfortunately, due to these circumstances, there's not that much to tell you about EQ listings. However, again, as Lesley mentioned during the presentation, we are working closely with several platforms regarding launch of Genshiro tokens, and we already have confirmed listing on one of the major exchanges. again, we cannot disclose which platform that will be particularly. You will, if you follow our announcements, you definitely will be aware of that due to the time. And actually, we also have some other listings confirmed for Genshiro tokens, and I'm sure that if you decide to participate in EQ, basically Genshiro Lockdrop, you'll definitely benefit from Genshiro listings as well. So probably that's what I wanted to share with regards to this topic. Hopefully I addressed this question.
Okay, so what I see here is that we've got a lot of questions which are concretely about how particular aspects of the Lockdrop work. And I'll tell you honestly, guys, I don't want to waste time. It's not that it's not important. You can definitely ask those questions, but I don't want to address them now in the call since we've only got 5 minutes left. What I would suggest is that, as Peter has proposed, you address him with concrete questions, because these could be unending questions. Hopefully there won't be that many because it'll work well. But nonetheless, please save those questions for him for later, because we've got some other questions which are more fundamental and not like addressing user support, okay? So let's try and get through those. And if we still have time, we'll address the other ones about the Lockdrop and the technical, operative aspects, okay? Otherwise, please ask Peter that later on outside of the forum of this call. So I see here in the chat that we've got some questions like, what is the URL to the... So let me just send you right now the URL to this actual presentation, and you're going to see the link to the Genshiro site there, and the Lockdrop itself. Let me send you an addition here. Let me just see here. I'm copying it for you as we speak, and I'm adding it as the second link, okay? So we've got that. Okay, let's see what's the next question here. Okay, lots of comments. I'm reading at the same time while I'm contemplating if we've answered this. I think we have. Okay.
So I think here's one aspect that we also need to mention, which is relevant to those who have vesting on their EQ allocations. So these Lockdrop participants obviously know that their allocation consists of two parts. So basically, like tokens that are being vested and tokens that are already claimed and in circulation. So if you use our Lockdrop interface, you will not necessarily need to claim tokens unless you have never done that before. If you have never claimed your allocation, you need to go, like for example, that you got through NotEQ token swap. In this case, you need to go to the allocation section and claim your allocation with your Ethereum address. In another case, if you already claimed some of your vested tokens, you don't need to claim them once again, because through the Lockdrop interface, all unclaimed tokens will be claimed automatically. You just need to indicate whether you want to lock the whole EQ allocation, which is already vested.
Okay. All right, let me go to the questions that we gathered in advance to this call and see if we can address those in the time remaining. So first one, and I'm just going to go through systematically. Will EQ be listed on a central exchange first? No, as we said, we're going to be doing the IDO, the initial decentralized exchange offering first with DodoX. Next one. This
is for Genshiro. This is for Genshiro tokens, I believe.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. This is okay. So this is right. My bad. Okay. So will EQ list on a centralized exchange first? Alex.
We're still considering the particular listing strategy, because again, the landscape might change tremendously when we approach the actual listing of EQ. And again, we, due to multiple requests from the community, we decided to push that a little bit back, and we consider the timing to be right when Polkadot will introduce parachains on their network. So yeah, I mean, we definitely will keep the community posted, and please keep up with our announcements. So here's another question, by the way. Klinst is asking whether EQ or gens consider as security. Actually not. We have actually done the legal analysis regarding EQ and gens, and both tokens are considered as utility.
Okay, so we've got literally like actually no time left. I wanted to
exactly.
do one more
Yeah. I mean, if we have maybe some very interesting question, let's maybe take it. Otherwise, let's wrap up.
We'll just go through real quick and see if there's anything that's absolutely essential that we addressed in any way at all. I think that we've pretty much got most of them more or less, at least implicitly, if not explicitly, and I think even explicitly. Yeah. Okay, so if anything else, ask us please in our official Telegram channel. I think that we've gone through pretty much everything that you need to know here. And so we're out of time, and thank you very much for joining us on this call. Looking very much forward then to seeing you on the next one, which as always will be next month. And take care, see you then. If any questions, address us either in Telegram or write to Peter, okay? Bye.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much. Till soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.